Hello, my name is Michael Peterman with Crosspoint Community Church here in Wamego, Kansas. And I wanted to be able to reach out to our community and let them know what we're trying to do to support our leaders, spread peace, and encourage people in this difficult time. I wanted to bring up Paul on the trip from Caesarea to Rome when he was on a ship that looked like it was destined for peril. And he even went up with what he perceived of the situation and said to the captain, "You're putting us in serious danger here, and I think we're in trouble." But a couple days later, he got a message from an angel of the Lord that said, "You're going to be fine. Everybody's going to make it." But 2 days later, somebody was trying to get off of the ship. I think it was 2 days later. Guys were trying to get off the ship because the storm was going to destroy everybody, they thought. And he's like, "No, if you get off, we're all in deep trouble. God said we're going to make it. We've got to act in faith." I appreciate that because we see him making a decision, and then he gets more information, and he decides, okay, we're going to move forward with what we have. And if I get more information, we can make a decision. It's okay that I was wrong initially. I don't claim to say that I have a word from God that everything's going to turn out perfectly if we just do this perfect thing. And I don't have word from God that everybody's going to be destroyed. But there are some principles in that story. Is when you have information, you make a decision and move forward. Like we were ready to have church on Sunday. And we had to rethink that as things changed with our neighboring counties and the president announcing a national emergency, and then studying more and more about how the virus is passing along to people and they don't have any symptoms. And what they're really asking us to do is socially distance intentionally and thoughtfully. Now, some people are buying more toilet paper than they need and are really worried, but don't worry, the shelves will be stocked. Everything will be okay there. Don't panic about being able to buy enough food. But if you're not wanting to interact with people, I understand. I need to plan for 14 days. But what does that really mean? And realizing that we needed to do that to cancel, to have online church. And now we're going to have online church again next week because the schools are closed for a week and all of our youth programs are shut down this week. And probably you'll hear more about whether our small groups are closed. But we also want to be able to help people in this time. We're called to engage and help people. Here's the vision of what we're trying to do with our own families. And this is how we want to try and interact and help people who are in need. How can we help them? And if you have ideas, please let us know. Maybe we'll be able to help the schools with distributing food in the park. I don't know yet. But we're going to be looking at that and asking for ways we can help our community. But for now, we wanted to cast a little vision on what does this peak that the Department of Health and Human Services is telling us about. And that's what these graphics are for here. That you see here, there's this free-for-all that was allowed to happen. Or if we let it happen and nobody did anything, then I think that it probably would describe Italy right now. They're in a tough situation. Attempted quarantine is what they started in China, but then it's spread anyway. And both of these peaks are just too high for what they're asking us to do. Instead, if we could moderately distance ourselves, we could spread this out because we know we're not going to stop the virus. Maybe we can prevent it from getting to some people, especially the immunocompromised or elderly people. I know several people in my life that I want to keep safe. I'm sure you have a number as well. But maybe if everybody did it, look even better how the curve can be smoothed out and spread out so our doctors and nurses aren't so overwhelmed. And I just thought I'd share this with you so you could see what it looks like if all these dots are blue healthy people and one brown dot or red, I can't really tell, is infected. It takes a certain amount of time for those to turn pink before they're healthy. So blue is healthy, pink is unhealthy, or pink is recovered, and brown is sick. And as you can see, that's what, if you don't do anything, it creates this massive curve, and everybody is trying to heal. Now, in China, they tried to quarantine for a while, but or maybe even think about Europe. We're saying quarantine Europe, keep it over there. But that doesn't solve the problem, because eventually it's going to come over. And then all you're doing is postponing the inevitable, and you still get this huge spike just later in time. All right. And there's that. And then it takes a while for all the people to heal. But if only a certain number of people stood still and didn't move around, then look at this curve. There's actually some blue preserved over time. And I'm not saying that, like I said, we're not going to be able to stop the virus over the next few years, but we can slow down the number of people that are going to get it in a short period of time. And I think this is a realistic expectation that they have. But if almost everyone did it, you see that it's even slower. So what are we going to do? Well, we're not here to tell you what you're supposed to do. You need to decide, if one of these is your cell, how are you going to protect it? How are you going to manage it without living in fear, but living in wisdom? And so my wife and I, we're on 14 days. We're on day 3 of 14 days, where our family isn't interacting with people. And we're going to have to figure that out. You know, what if they have school? Well, we'll probably be keeping our kids from school for an extra few days if the schools can't figure it out, and take some sick days. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be wanting to do that. But then what happens when we get done with our 14 days? I need to be able to contact my friends or my neighbors and say, have you done your 14 days yet? And if they haven't, then you know that probably need to wait to interact. But if more people are waiting the 14 days, then you can start adding them to your cell group to connect and relate. It's like, hey, I had 14 days, no symptoms. I had 5 days, no symptoms. I got sick for 9 and I started my 14 over. I'm good to go. Maybe even you test positive for it. We're not going to avoid you forever. We know that after 14 days, you're good to go. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you're encouraged, and know that we continue to trust God, that He's sovereign with all things, that He loves His people, and that He calls all people to seek Him and love Him with all their heart. And may He bless you to do so.